everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about, I don't even want to say it, gluten-free. We are going to talk about going gluten-free and why and how you can do it and what's easy about it. You just got to try it. You just got to wing it. So as you all have known, gluten is like top fad diet in the world, and there are many articles going one way and many going the other. It's like its own little war with the world right now. So in this video, I'm actually going to go through a bunch of different topics and just kind of discuss with you like what gluten is, where it's found, how you can avoid it, what my favorite alternatives are, because you need to know those. And I'm just gonna let you know my thoughts and let you know how I feel about it. So let's get started. Okay, so we are just going to jump into it and talk about why you should give up gluten, why some people do give up gluten. And specifically, it's because gluten is an inflammatory. So when we talk about eating chips and bread and pastas, and we think that we're not gonna have any side effects, in the reality, we kind of are. So the list of like what gluten does to you is incredibly long, so we're just gonna go over a few of them because I could probably bore you with how long this list really is. So some things that it causes are going to be joint pains, muscle aches, fatigue, brain fog. We can go with digestive issues like constipation, diarrhea, anxiety, depression, skin issues. Obviously, skin issues are like my number one reason for cutting out gluten, but when I did that in the process, I realized that I'm not bloated anymore, that these random like bowel movements aren't happening to me. My stomach isn't gurgling, so I don't really deal with any of that anymore. But you know, I've cut out a lot of other things too. So we are going to move on. All right, so now we're moving on to benefits of gluten-free. And when we talk about benefits of gluten-free, obviously we're just kind of doing a little bit of the opposite of what we talked about before. So where you're decreasing the inflammation when you take away the gluten. Obviously this does not happen overnight. So when people say, gluten-free doesn't work for me, just give it a minute. Just give it a minute, okay? So when we decrease the inflammation, we can now promote healthy weight loss, healthy weight gain. Sometimes when people eat gluten, they actually can lose weight because it can make them sick. So it's like a very weird side effect, but that definitely can happen. Okay, so, this will help with that joint pain, really reduce some of that inflammation in the joints. I know that when I was not doing gluten-free, I would have a lot of problems with my shoulders, and I don't know if that was because I was an athlete for so long, but once I gave up gluten, and I really went off of it for quite a while, I didn't have to pry my shoulders open every morning. I would just have to sit there and uncrunch my little bug self and roll my shoulders out because it felt like my shoulders were in my ears and that they were I was crunched together like a newborn baby. It was the most uncomfortable thing I would have to deal with every single morning when I woke up. So that was terrible. So, as well as it could restore some of your energy levels. So I do know that, a friend of mine, she took her daughter off of gluten, and that was because every time she was coming home from school, she was so tired, she couldn't do anything. And this kid was 9. I mean, at a prime, crazy age where they should be able to bounce off the walls at any time. And she couldn't. She literally needed a nap like a little kid does. And once they took her off gluten, she now does exactly that. She bounces off walls like a 4-year-old does. So at any age level, this can help you. This can really help you take away that inflammation and, become who you're supposed to be again. It's like gluten can make you an old person. Sorry to any truly older adults, but gluten can really make you elderly, almost crippling. It's terrible. So anyway, it can help with brain fog. And I mean, this list just keeps going on. I could keep telling you more and more stories, but I'm telling you this, I'm going to tell you this again, just try it for yourself. See what goes on, see what you can do with it, and it's trial and error, all of it. So on to the next part. So on to personal tips for avoiding gluten. So these are things that I have done that you can do that just make it a lot easier to kind of structure yourself away from the triggers of being like, oh, but I want that macaroni and cheese from Panera. It just seems like a really good one. People really, really love that stuff. I used to eat it, but it's not that big of a deal anymore. There we go. There's your answer. Don't eat it. But that's not realistic. What is realistic is, if I'm going out to eat with a friend, the easiest thing for me would be, let's look up the menu online. I can have a few ideas of some of the things that I want. So I would pick out 2 different things on the menu. It's like, oh, that sounds good. But I mean, today is today. Tomorrow is tomorrow. Tomorrow, I could be feeling this salad. Today, I'm feeling this pasta that's gluten-free. So you just go through the menu, pick out some things that you like, especially if you, and your friends are gonna eat appetizers. There's certain appetizers you probably can't eat. So I would have one that you're just very ambitious about when you get there, because your friends are probably more likely to go with that because you really want it. So have things prepared before you go out for a meal. If that is something that it's I really want to go out and eat here, but I know that when I go, I don't know what to order, or I'm going to order whatever I want. Well, take a minute, have a breather, look up the menu before. Almost all menus are online now, and you can find anything you want to eat on that menu. And if not, just recommend a different place, but more than likely you'll be able to find something that you can eat. The next one is going to be learning how to read nutrition labels. I really won't go into depth on this because there is so much to cover. This video would be hours and hours and hours long. So really, when it comes to reading nutrition labels, I would just know your facts. So do the research yourself, hang out with the nutrition coach. Hey, I'm right here. Or, watch some YouTube videos and really figure out what is gluten? What are these things I can and cannot eat? Because you're really going to need to know that in order to go shopping, in order to order out at a restaurant, to do anything to go gluten-free. You're going to need to know how to read a nutrition label. And you need a health coach, because it can take you forever to figure out if you can have these crackers or the cereal. It's just hard. It's very hard. It's a lot of learning. So don't give up. And the last 2 are just going to be if I don't want to say just rely on this, but if it has a gluten-free stamp, I would look for that. That's probably one of the easiest things. It's okay, I probably can have this. Go ahead and peek on the back though and double check, because sometimes they can lie. I promise they can. It can be very deceiving. But yeah, check for the gluten-free stamp. It literally is just a circle. I'll post it up here. It's just a circle with a gluten-free little logo in it, and that basically means that you can eat it. The last one in this is going to be ordering your groceries online for a pickup. One of the most triggering things is going into a grocery store. 1, it's going to take you forever, like I already said, and 2, it's very tempting to just be I just want these, or when you go to the store hungry and you just want something because you're craving it. It's probably the worst thing you can do is actually going shopping when you're hungry, when you're trying to eliminate something from your diet, your food groups, your lifestyle, however you want to put it. So if you order online, it'll eliminate that situation. You'll just pick up your stuff. When you get it home, you'll be like, I didn't have that temptation to go and get that box of donuts, even though they have gluten-free donuts now. So we're gonna wrap this up with one more, and see you then. We are on to my favorite part now, and these are my alternatives for gluten-free, because you can't really tell that it's gluten-free. So we're gonna start with noodles, my favorite. And the ones that I currently get are actually from Aldi, and they're the Live G Free brand, and they are the swirly ones. I know those have a fun name. I think it's Rotini? No. I don't know. Those ones and then the long shaped ones. They have both of them. And you can have both of them. Because they only have 2 ingredients. And I think it's brown rice flour and something else. It's very healthy. But they're gluten-free, and you can't tell. They're not chewy. They're not hard like cardboard. They have flavor. So the next one is going to be, let's go with chips. Truly, I'm not a fan of snacking chips. Just the oils are just a little bit too much because you can't really, if you really want a good chip, it's going to be probably way too outrageously priced to even go for it, unless you're just like, I really need a chip. Then you really just need to look out at the oils that are on the back of it. That's like one of my big things. So anyway, we're going to like my favorite chip brand, and that's going to be Siete. I think that's how it's pronounced. But anyway, they have like cassava flour is what their chips are mainly made out of. And they have a churro one right now that is like a great sweet treat. I love it. Try that one out. And they also have just like a normal tortilla chip that I go for when we do nachos or any kind of dipping. That is what I'm going to go for in that route. And the next one is going to be bread. I know many of you are like, ugh, I hate gluten-free bread. It is so hard that they just fall apart. I've heard it all. I already know. I've tried it all. Okay? Been there. Done all of that. My favorite brand is Canyon. Currently, I'm getting it from Costco because you can get 2 in a pack for like less than $9. But if you don't have that access, you can get Canyon bread almost everywhere now. And if you were struggling to find it at your grocery store, I would ask someone or go and check the frozen section, because these breads do usually come in frozen because they can stay a lot better, and they don't really fly off the shelves for like a plain grocery store. But they have like mini variety, and I'm talking all the way from like a hot dog bun to like a normal slice of bread. They have Hawaiian sweet bread. Of course, it's not like the texture of your Hawaiian rolls, but it is a little bit more sweet. Still has the same amount of sugar all the other kinds of Canyon bread do, but it's still a great alternative. It is like a good squishy, it is a little bit smaller than a normal, like a loaf of bread. I would say that's like probably the big difference. If you're used to eating like a whole wheat or the Ezekiel, I think is that really sprouty bread, it's going to be the same texture, if not a little bit better, because it's not as seedy and not as like dense. So I like that one. We want to talk about rice. Currently, I am hooked on these packets of rice from Aldi, and they're just like their organic brands. They're not like the Live G Free brand. But the one that I get is the quinoa and brown rice. It's those two mix that you just like throw it in the microwave for 90 seconds and bam, you have some rice ready for yourself. You can go the quinoa route, you can do the brown rice, but for convenience on like time and money, that one right now is like total go-to. Okay, and the last one on my favorite list is going to be oat milk. I am going to do another video all about dairy, so this will come up again, but for now, I do want you to check your fridge, because I know most of you probably have an oat milk in there, and oat milk, not all of them are actually gluten-free. They're not. So go ahead, check out your gluten-free, not gluten-free milks in your fridge, because like I said, not all oat milk is gluten-free. The easiest way to check, one, see if it has the stamp, see if it's advertised on the box or bottle, usually it comes in a box though, that it does say gluten-free. If not, flip it around, look at that nutrition label and see if it has gluten-free oats, gluten-free rolled oats, whatever the first ingredient is, it needs to be gluten-free. So that is like number one way to check that for your oat milk. Same thing if you're getting like an oat-based creamer, any kind of liquid that says oat on it, I definitely would make sure that it says gluten-free, because they can trick you there. If you are used to getting oat milk with your barista at your Starbucks or at your local little coffee shop, again, I'd ask them, or I would just like default back to an almond milk or coconut milk. But if you are those people who are allergic to nuts, I would ask them if their oat milk is actually in fact gluten-free. All right, so that is all I have for you for alternatives. And so we are about to wrap this video up. All right, so we're gonna wrap up this video here. And if you have tuned in with me this whole time, I thank you for being here. Go ahead and subscribe so you can catch me next time. And, you know, really all I have to say on this is going gluten-free for some is not easy. It's giving up a lot of things, it's making a change, and it's a transition. Nobody ever said that adding something into your diet or taking it away or adding it to your lifestyle, however you want to present it, no one ever said it was easy. So I do challenge yourself to at least give it a try. And if you don't want to change everything at once, don't change everything at once. Just make small changes and eventually you'll be like, oh my God, I'm gluten-free. You'll be gluten-free in no time and not even really know it. It is hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. And I think the hardest part is probably the eating out. Figuring out what you can have, what you can't have, and again, reading those nutrition labels when you do go to a store, because some things are very contradictory. And lastly, there are lots of options. So even if you don't like the recommendations that I've given you, like you really hate the Canyon bread or you really hate the CFA chips, you have many options that you can try. These are just my preference because these for me are the cleanest and that is why I eat them. But you know, you can try any of it. There are plenty of options out there. Just don't give up. Give it a try and